Hello, Earth Angels. This is part 2 of our interview with Mystic Ed Spina, a dear friend of mine. Hi, Ed.
Hello,
Again.
Silvia.
So, in part 1, we talked about what is it to be a mystic, and then we talked about the law of existence, and we mentioned at the end of the video that it is very important to connect with God,
Right.
and with our I am presence. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Okay, as I said, one of our first things we're taught as mystics is to try to commune with that innermost self, that innermost aspect of ourselves. And that will change over time as you get better at meditating and better at connecting, as well as your understanding of that. So that will change, but the idea is to go within and to tap into your own inner resources instead of relying on everyone else, external, to influence and tell you what to do, and how to be, how to act, all those. And in fact, that's one of the characteristics of a mystic, or a more, I guess you could say, divinely guided person, is he or she is not as affected by the external world, but more doing what they are inclined to do, that their inspiration and intuition is guiding them to do.
So that's wonderful. And I'm sure people would be interested in how to do that, right? Can you tell us?
Okay, well, as I talked a little bit about in our last segment, you have energy centers, the 7 chakras in the East, or the 12 energy centers in the Western system of mysticism. This is the way that the I Am presence, your higher self, communicates with your mind and your body through these energy centers. And these are known, they're connected with the autonomic nervous system that Western medicine is familiar with. For connecting with that, it makes sense that if you are trying to perceive that small, still voice within, that if you have these energy centers clear, you'll be able to get a stronger signal. And in addition, if you have these energy bodies we talked about before, emotional bodies and mental bodies that are filled with the emotions you've been feeling and the thoughts that you've been thinking, that are filled with these thoughts, and some of them, these thoughts, by the law of attraction, we know are going to attract even more thoughts. So your energy bodies are filled with all sorts of thoughts, many of which are not even your own. So it would make sense that if you were able to flush those energy bodies so that you weren't distracted by all these extraneous thoughts and feelings, and if your energy centers were clear, you'd be able to more closely perceive that small, still voice within, the voice of God, effectively.
That's very interesting. So I'm familiar with chakras, right? For about 12 years now, I'm cleaning my chakras. I remember to begin with it was not easy, as they tell you feel this chakra and you don't when you're starting.
Right.
So this is a very interesting approach. This, you call it Western approach, that you basically believe that working with glands can be much more effective or easier.
Well, it's much easier to visualize is the main thing. And the two systems are related. They're correspondences. For example, the heart chakra, the heart is obviously one of the most important.
Heart chakra in the middle of the chest?
Right, in the middle of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Western system, there are 2 energy centers that are connected with that. The actual heart, which pumps the blood, circulates the blood through your body, but also the thymus gland, which is under your breastbone, and that's used for healing. So in some mystical traditions, they talk about the crown of the heart, which would refer to the thymus glands underneath your breastbone. They're both connected with the crown, with the heart chakra, but they're in the Western, they just break them into 2. So other glands there's 1-to-1 correspondence. The throat chakra and the thyroid glands, there's a 1-to-1 correspondence. So the people, the chakra people, the Easterners, know what about these glands, but the chakras are more nebulous, energy transformers, whereas for people in the West, and people know what your throat looks like, what your thyroid gland looks like. They know what your heart looks like, and if they're taught, or they can be told, in the center of your brain, the pituitary glands, and also in the center of your brain, the pineal glands, that are 2 glands that are associated with the 6th and 7th chakras of Eastern thought.
Wow, that's a breakthrough, I think, for some people.
Right. There is a real physical basis for these, to being able to get energy from higher dimensions, from higher planes of existence.
So, so you're saying by clearing these glands, these energy centers, we become more open, we allow more light into our bodies, and we connect with God or the universe.
Right. That small, still voice, often referred to as intuition, is God or your higher self trying to whisper to you, things that you should be aware of. So when you clear out the energy centers, you can hear that voice more clearly. And the two most important glands for what people refer to as psychic ability are the two I pointed to in the center of your brain, the Pituitary and Pineal glands. Those account for about 75% of your psychic ability. It's also known that the pineal gland, over time, if it's not being used, it tends to calcify. In fact, even people doing autopsies, they sometimes estimate someone's age by the amount of calcification of their pineal glands. But it doesn't need to calcify, it can be used. That's your gateway to higher worlds.
And I know you have a wonderful tool how to clean your pineal gland. You say it's good to go to the forest too.
Oh, well, it's not everyone can go there, but people often remarked about how being in nature helps with your psychic abilities, and especially pine forests. And it's not a coincidence that the pineal gland, which is named because it looks like a pine cone, is stimulated by being in the presence of a pine forest.
Wow, right? It makes a lot of sense, right?
That's how it is.
Have you tried it?
As a child, before I knew anything about spirituality, I used to love forests, and I loved pine forests.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagined when I grew up someday I would be able to walk and hike and camp in dense pine forests with beds of pine needles to sleep on, and that it would be the most wonderful place to be. And it could have been that was my higher self telling me, hey, this is good for you, do more of this.
That's beautiful that we get these messages and we're guided to what's right for us.
Right.
Even if we
don't understand them.
Exactly. Well, in the next segment we will talk with Ed how to clear our glands and what tools and practice Ed can offer to us.